So let's get into our game review for the week. This week we were checking out Charlie Murder. Oh, hey there, Nomads. How you guys doing? Please excuse this brief interruption. In our game review of Charlie Murder from Sky Studios, we talk about how it doesn't have online multiplayer and that being a big negative. And Brian, actually gave it a thumbs down based on the fact that online multiplayer wasn't available to us. That is completely and factually false. The game has online multiplayer. You can play it with other people. It is a wonderful experience, and we wholeheartedly apologize to Sky Studios for our oversight. We are just a couple of dummies making a podcast, and we got this one wrong. So sorry about that, Sky Studios. This game is really fantastic. Everyone should check it out. Enjoy our thorough and less than comprehensive review of Charlie Murder. Back to the Backspace Nomads Podcast. Goodbye, everybody. From Scott Studios. Charlie Murder is on Steam. It first came out 2013 on the Xbox. This is a PC release of it. Came out May 12th for $9.99 on Steam. It's a indie punk rock beat 'em up. It's a punk rock apocalypse. Team up with your friends to lead an embattled punk rock band Charlie Murder in their epic quest to save the world from the rival death metalers Gore Quaffer and their legion of evil. RPG it up as you hoard insane loot to buff your character and look excellent. Earn fans to unlock powerful finishers, tattoos, and channel your anarchy. Get it? And uncover mysterious relics of the modern myth. What were you thinking about Charlie Murder going into it, other than that mouthful of an intro paragraph?
So I was a little excited about it, mainly because this is, like many of the things that I bring up, slightly unrelated to anything. But I am a huge fan of the Gorillaz, not just the music, but the actual art and the character behind that band. Mm-hmm. And the art style in this, as well as the characters, reminded me somewhat of the Gorillaz team. So
I can see that.
So I was excited about it. It also was rated M for mature.
Ooh.
So I was just like, what in this is going to, like, what kind of violence am I going to experience in this game? And so I would say in general, I was looking for kind of just almost like that Simpsons arcade where you're like running through and just punching everything.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting that, but for something to be a little bit fresher. I never played this on Xbox, so this is my first time trying it out, and I was excited. I was excited about it.
Yeah, me too. Like, I knew nothing about this game before you kind of linked it to me as a game we should play. I didn't know the Xbox game, but from the screenshots, like, I was on board. Like you said, it's like the Gorilla style. Yeah. Like,
that's all you said. You're like, these screenshots though, and I knew.
Yeah, because it is like the Gorillaz. Like, if you think like a Gorillaz meets the Behemoth art style, I think that's kind of where we're landing with that. And it just looked like there was blood everywhere in these screenshots. So I thought the name was good. I was ready to get into this game. So let's just start talking about the things we liked about Charlie Murder.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with the not obvious one.
Okay.
I liked the fact that there are different dynamics in this game. So there are different types of games within it. So, like, for instance, there's even a rhythm section where, like, you're playing a rhythm game.
Yeah.
So it's not as linear as just going through levels, punching through things, collecting some items, and moving on. They do a good job of keeping it creative as far as the type of game that you're playing, which I totally wasn't expecting. And I thought that was a really nice surprise. The actual, running around, killing everything was entertaining and fun to me. But then getting those refreshing moments where you're playing something a little bit different. They even have like a kind of, if you're playing multiplayer, kind of like a Super Smash Brothers, which I didn't get to play multiplayer. So just a heads up, I played single player, but I did want to see what multiplayer was like, so I watched some snippets of that, and you can play like in a, almost like a Super Smash Brothers style, in a wrestling ring.
There was an online multiplayer, right? It was just like multiplayer on your own computer or LAN.
Yeah, okay. It's co-op.
Okay. So I'll jump like the rhythm sections in the game was like, it's the way they kind of told the story. I thought them telling the story through the rhythm section parts was like a really good highlight, and that kind of ties into the music of this game, which I absolutely loved. This is a punk rock game. I grew up on punk rock. I come from the city of Detroit, where punk rock was birthed.
I thought that's where electronic music was birthed.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't know about electronic music, but I know like punk really got its roots from Detroit. So like I love this type of music. That led into the style. Like the whole style of the game was just really fucking cool. I feel like they were pulling a little bit too much on artwork and styles from other developers, but as a whole, the aesthetics of it were like a definite plus for me. What's something else about this game that you liked?
Well, you just brought up two things, dude. You said the style and the music.
Music is style.
And I agree with both of them.
All right.
So you win.
Is this the first game we agree on music?
Yeah, it is.
Nice. Punk rock, bringing people together.
I wouldn't necessarily say that, I grew up on punk rock. I was more of just a, grunge type of lady myself, but my brother had a full-blown, shaved sides of the head,
nice
8-inch mohawk, was wearing all them studs and patches and shit. Never showered.
Combat boots.
And smelled kind of like a teenage boy all the time. And so I am very well versed in the punk scene, because that's all he listened to, literally. And so I actually really liked the music in this game. It is fun, and the fact that you're playing the band, that you can kind of feels like you're listening to their music in a way, and it's that part of it was really, really fun. Last thing that I really liked is the art style. I agree with you. It wasn't necessarily anything brand spanking new.
Yeah.
But it follows an art style that works. It follows an art style that has worked in multiple different instances, or rather cartoons, video games, etc., because it's fun.
Yeah.
It feels a little grungy. It feels a little punk. And I thought it worked well with what they were going for here, for sure.
Definitely cohesive the whole way through. Every part of every asset they made for this game felt like it came from the same place spiritually,
Yeah, that is true too. There are some games that we play where the art style fluctuates depending on where you are in it. This was very fluid throughout.
Yeah. Next thing for me would probably just be the combat system. I thought, in a beat 'em up game, you live or die by that, and they definitely live on it, because all the combos, the mix of the range weapons, the swords, the hammers you can pick up, everything just worked and felt really good.
Parts.
Yes, picking up the heads of the dead enemies and just throwing them at people, or smashing other enemies with it to get their heads to continue your head smashing. I loved it. I was completely into that, and the combo system, just being able to combo people up in the air, and if you hit the rhythm, it's almost like a music game, but that's how you get your best combos. And that was a solid, I don't know if that was intentional, but it was absolute highlight for me of this game.
So I slightly disagree with you, not in the sense of the creativity with the combat, but I felt as though one of my complaints with this game is that I felt as though the movements were sluggish. I always felt as though the character was moving a second behind me.
Okay.
So, and maybe it couldn't have been a full second. It must have just been a split second, but it felt slow. Even the fact that if you're just running in a straight line, you start walking, and then you get to running, but it just feels like it takes a split second too long to get to the running stage, which was,
I'll agree with that.
Kind of bothered me a little bit. I mean, it's a small thing to complain about, but it was prominent enough that I noticed it right off the bat, and I didn't really get used to it.
Sure.
So I agreed with the combat being fun, but those sluggish movements, like they distracted me a little bit.
Gotcha. I think that's valid. I think the last thing
Thank you.
for me, you're welcome. I am a validating person in my life. I make people feel good about themselves. The last thing for me is the RPG item system. I thought was a really cool addition to the beat 'em up genre. I don't think too many beat 'em up games put RPG elements where you're actually like building a character, and you have like build types. You have to have a certain number or level of defense to be able to wear certain items, so you can actually have different types of build for the different types of characters that you play. I thought that was a really interesting skew on the genre that kind of merited, and like they earned the right to make a beat 'em up game because they added something that is genre bending. This just isn't a game that like, oh, we want to make a beat 'em up. They wanted to add something to that genre, and I completely think they did with the RPG system, with the items.
Yep.
Anything
I
else?
agree with that.
Any other things you liked?
I guess like that. Oh, I thought we were on to what we didn't.
I'm in the middle, I guess.
Oh.
All right, let's move on to
You're
the
all over the
things
place.
that we disliked about Charlie
I already
Murder.
said the sluggish movements.
All right, sluggish movements.
Yeah.
Do you want to go for another one, or you want me to jump in?
Let me sluggishly move into the next one that I want here.
Okay.
So you said that you liked the story,
Yep.
as far as them being more involved with the rhythm element of the game, which I agree with you. That part was really, really fun. However, I felt as though, like, I wanted more story from this, and I think that probably comes from, and this might be like, I'm saying this specifically because this is probably a personal thing, because of my obsession with like the gorillas, because of my like deciding that this game kind of allowed me like into that world a little bit, while still being its own. I wanted more about the characters. Like I wanted more bios. I wanted more information about them. I wanted more backstory about them, and I didn't feel as though I just wanted more. Which I guess that's good, right? Like they gave me enough that intrigued me. The storyline that they provided was like, okay, but what else? And so it's partially good because I want more, but partially bad because I'm left still wanting, you know?
Yeah, and I think that kind of speaks to the whole game. I felt like this game like hit a certain level of like being really good and then just felt flat with everything. I think the art style was like almost there. The storytelling was almost there. I think even though I like the combat system, I think what I was feeling is the sluggishness from you, where just the combat system, while it was fun, it didn't feel like it was there yet. And I think the biggest issue with things like not being there for me would be the control system. The controls for this game were confusing as fuck. Like Scott Studio, can you just help us out a little bit? This like you're porting a game over to the PC. Can you act like it? Can you give me some like direct, like should I be clicking my mouse? Should I be clicking my keyboard? I don't know what to be using for this game, and I had to figure that out on my own. And while that can be a cool gameplay element like we used to do in the olden days, that wasn't their intent, because they have like buttons for a controller. If you're playing this game on the Xbox, it gave you instructions like to use the X button or the A button for a regular controller. So it's not something they intended to do. It's just something they didn't change for their PC port, and I really didn't appreciate it. And I think, they hurt my feelings a little bit, honest, to be quite frank.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't necessarily take care of the PC gamer in that regards. In fact, I think that's probably one of the hardest things is the exploration required in order to be able to play through. I wouldn't say that I found it incredibly frustrating. I think I was a little bit more patient in that regard, but as a whole, you do have to work your way through that, and so that's very important to note.
Growing pains. What's another thing you disliked about this game?
That's really it.
Really?
I mean, those are my three things. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I think you liked this game more than I did.
I think I did.
I think the menu system kind of sucked in this game. Like the cell phone menu system could have been expanded to be a little better. This is kind of pre-GTA, I think. I think GTA, maybe it's because I played GTA and their cell phone menu system really worked. This one just kind of didn't, and I think it goes back to the controls being a problem, but that's like kind of minor. I think this game overall for me,
I would say you can't compare this game to GTA either.
the cell phone system, like using the cell phone as a menu system to like scroll through things.
Yeah.
That's my point. No, this game is definitely not on the same level as GTA. They're a few $1 million probably short of development. I think my biggest issue with this game is just a overwhelming sense that I didn't want to keep going in it. I got to certain points where like I fought a really hard enemy, I died, I had to go back, and like I would keep fighting, I would complete it only because we're reviewing it and I had to be responsible and like give the game its fair due. But as like enjoyment wise, I just wasn't. I've played other beat 'em up games that I felt did it better, and I think that's working against it. Like this game reminds me massively of Castle Crashers from the Behemoth, and like I like that game way better. I think there are better beat 'em ups in the genre. I think the lack of a online multiplayer really hurts this game, and I think that's why I don't want to keep playing it, because I don't have friends in real life. So, what's your final thoughts on Charlie Murder?
Well, I also do not have friends in real life, but I'm okay with that, and I have accepted that, and I just pretend to be playing with friends. In fact, as I continue to play this game and hold my thumb way up high, because it is a thumbs up from me, I will just be looking back at my friends that aren't really there and be like, I just beat that guy. You guys saw that, right? and they will all nod their imaginary heads and be very proud of me.
Good job, Monica.
I liked it. Yep, I thought it was good. It's $10. I think, especially if this is your genre of game, it's a fun, for the music alone. Just going through. I mean, I feel like it covers its bases there. And I found it very, very enjoyable. So a big thumbs up for me. And are you a thumbs down then?
I might be.
Think you might be. Yeah.
I didn't play the whole game, so full disclosure, I didn't make it all the way through. But I don't think this game adds like an AI second player to play with you. In other beat 'em up games where you played by yourself, there would be like the Simpsons game. The AI computer would like throw in like Simpson or like Bart for you if you're playing as Homer. Like there would be people beating up with you, and I think just playing by yourself really hurt this game. This is like a mediocre thumbs down. I'm not like fully saying don't buy this game. It's just I think until this game puts in an online multiplayer mode, I really can't sell the recommendation on it. But like I was really enjoying it for what it was, but to get me to go thumbs up, they really need the online multiplayer, or to add in some like AI people on your side to help you feel like you're part of something in the beat 'em up genre. I think that's a big thing. So thumbs up, thumbs down. We're in the middle from the Backspace Nomads for Charlie Murder. You can find it on Steam for $9.99. Published and developed by Ska Studios.